2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
Feels like we're starting at square one. Where do we begin?
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
Brannon, what's going on, man?
Not much. Just doing my thing.
You got your hair pulled back today. I can't see your flowing locks like normal.
Oh, I tell you what, I never knew hair was so hot. Gosh, women, what they have to deal with. Let me tell you.
The long hair.
Us guys take that short little fade haircut for granted. You know how comfortable that is and how easy it is? So the question is, why do you hold on to it? I'm going to ask that for Dad, by the way. Yeah, well, thank you actually for teeing this up because it's beautiful and God gave it to me. You know, I appreciate what my daughters say, like, Dad, with hair like that, why would you ever chop it off?
You do have the best hair in the family.
The irony is I inherited it from Mom and Dad, who hate it. So thanks for it, guys.
Somehow you ended up with like the curly flowing hair.
Mom doesn't hate my hair.
Yeah. Anyway, before I get you into more trouble, let's get to our guest.
Yeah. Jaime, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
If you could give us just some background and tell us what's going on with you, and then ask any questions you have.
Okay. So I guess as far as my trauma background, I'm in my second marriage. My first marriage ended 5 years ago. After 23 years and 6 kids, he had an affair about 8 months before I found out. Anyway,
after 23 years of marriage.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I, at the time, wanted to try and work it out. He didn't. We divorced. He is now with her. Anyway, moving on, I remarried pretty quick. And we'll be married 4 years next month. About a year into the marriage, I saw messages like on social media between him and other women. Anyway, that's happened a few times. And then I saw that he, had been looking at pornography. When we first met, I made it very clear I was not okay with pornography, and asked him just flat out, do you look at pornography? Have you ever? He lied, said no. And I have also I was sexually abused as a child, and pornography was part of that. And so, I just can't do it. And so his dad passed away 2 years ago, and things got much worse. And the pornography, I would check his phone and see that he was looking at pornography more and more. And anyway, the last 6 months have been pretty bad between us, just as far as no connection. He has no sex drive. He, rarely touches me. There's just no connection. And so I've just kind of been watching, having this feeling that there's something else. And a couple of weeks ago, I looked at the phone he normally uses, and there was evidence there, pornography, but not every day, anyway. So we kind of talk about it as things come, and he says he'll stop, he'll try harder, he won't do it anymore. And then Saturday, I found an old phone of his that he's been using multiple times a day, daily, to look at pornography. So it has become an addiction. I don't know how long it's been that way. So initially I, was just trying to build trust, but now we're starting, I feel like we're starting from square one. And he is, in the past, he's been against therapy. He's been against any help. He tells me that I'm insecure and that it's my past issues that are, causing the problems. But with the therapy that I've done, the things that I've been doing to try and heal and work through my past issues, and I know it's not me. And so I guess for him, who is very leery of therapy, where does he start? Where does someone start when this is, so new? And for myself also, even though I'm doing things, here's just another trauma compounded. So that's why I'm here.
I'm glad you're here, Jaime. It sounds like, number one, it sounds like you've experienced quite a bit in your lifetime, and then just in this relationship, you've been kind of like playing this game of like, what footing are we actually standing on? If I'm hearing you right, you're coming to the conclusion now that with more and more finding out, more and more disclosure, that this issue of your partners is more akin to an actual full-blown addiction than maybe it was made out to be at the beginning. Is he on board with that yet, or is he still like saying that it's not an addiction and it's not a big deal?
So up until this point, so I do weekly coaching calls with Bloom. I work with one of their coaching. I've actually seen one of your therapists too, John. Mm-hmm. I think in the Logan office for a while, about a year or two ago. Anyway, with my coach on Bloom, I've been keeping her up to date on what's happening, and last week she said, here's some, she sent me a link to some videos that were actually, I believe it's one of you. They were videos on, I think, Sexual Addiction 101 or something like that, and said, have him watch these and see what he thinks. And they're very short. I watched them, and then when this happened, so before I found the old phone, I said, I want you to watch these. That will show me that you are, trying to take some action to improve things. And so the last week he did watch those. So when I found his phone on Saturday and confronted him, we talked about those videos, and he said, I never really thought about it, but those videos have helped me to see that maybe this is an addiction. and maybe I do have a problem. And so, and
Okay.
and he did commit to trying to find help. Like I said, because otherwise, if he's not going to do that, then I'm not going to stay married to him.
Okay. So we could probably do a whole different episode, which I'm not going to go there, on the word addiction and how it gets used in our world, in this world that we work in. So I don't want to go down that road. So I'm going to use the word addiction in terms of a behavior that I can't seem to stop that's causing problems in my life, right? So we don't have to argue about what an addiction is or it isn't, but maybe even more importantly, going right down to the basics. And it sounds like you guys are just kind of hitting this point right now, is with anything, I have to be able to answer, basically, I have to be able to own these three things in order for me to even take the next steps. And I don't care if it's called an addiction or not, but I have a problem. It's a significant problem causing other problems in my life. I'm responsible to address these problems. And if that's where you and him are both at, that's the starting point here. Because otherwise you guys are just, I mean, that's where you're currently at now. Now he gets to take responsibility for his actions on whatever he's going to do something different to address a significant problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So Jaime, Tyler's trying to save you a lot of time and money with what he just said, because what we see a lot is somebody being compelled into therapy, or out of compliance they come, and their heart isn't in it at all. And in fact, they think it's stupid and they're resentful to their partner and all those things. It actually just does more damage to the relationship because it's dishonest in a way. And he doesn't need to work therapy the exact way that we say or you say or whatever. But if he doesn't do anything different, then nothing's going to change. Right. And so for you, and that's him. We're talking about him right now. Like he really, Tyler, I see this where sometimes guys are compelled into therapy and then they eat it up and they love it and they do well. Yeah. Right. So that can happen. I was going to say, it's kind of like for, as a therapist, when I'm doing that kind of quick assessment, I'm like, where am I starting on this like upward trend? And if I got a guy who's in compliance, who's only coming because he's been caught and he's kind of wanting to hold on to his marriage, it doesn't mean it's hopeless. It means that it's like preschool before we actually get to the real school. So it's like, he'll come and he'll kind of be compliant for a while, but he won't be all the way in. But sometimes that's enough for him to then start going, oh, I maybe do have a problem, and oh, maybe I should take a look at this. So if that happens, then they pick up, and they just had to go to preschool first, and then they jump in and start doing the rest of the recovery work. Sometimes that doesn't happen, and then you're banging your head against the wall going, you are wasting your time and your money. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because it is a requirement, I believe, for that internal drive and motivation to set in. You think about it, Jaime. You can't trust him unless you know that he's proactive in his own recovery and wanting it on his own. Yeah, he might be sober right in front of you, but behind the scenes, you'll never know unless you feel from him that he really wants to change on his own. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How does that like come across to you? How does that make you feel?
I basically said the same thing to him. I just, going through what I have, I know I can't force him. I can't make him want to. I can't even, saving our marriage may not be enough of he's got to see it. And I told him that you got to see it as a problem, and you have now the responsibility to decide what you want to do with that. Here's what I'm going to do if I don't see any action on your part. So the thing about him not seeing the porn as a problem and whatever, what about this? Like, does he see the dishonesty as a problem? Does he see the lying as a problem? The hiding? Well, I can't say he sees it as a problem. You know, when I said you've lied to me over and over and over, and he said, yeah, he said, I don't want to be the one to hurt you. So if you ask me a question that I know is going to hurt you, I'm going to lie to you. He said that to me.
So he doesn't see that as a problem.
I don't think so.
It sounds like he's turning it back on you. Like, look, I can be dishonest because I'm dishonest because you suck
for a good reason.
You're
I'm
unhealthy.
A good guy.
Yeah, I'm a good guy who's trying to protect you.
And he went into, well, you're never happy anymore, and you're never, you're you always seem sad, and so he kind of turned it in, and he said, well, so then I got to go to the internet or the porn to feel better, and he's done that to me before, where he tries to turn it on me and make it my fault.
He'll blame you for going to act out.
Yeah.
But here's the issue with that it's so common inside of so many people that we work with, that they have that line of thinking. It's their moral way of trying to still be okay with themselves, so that they go, well, if it's going to hurt her, I won't tell her. But it never goes a step further that says, well, if it's going to hurt her, I probably won't do it.
Right.
It's like, let's get all the way back to the beginning of, if I really actually care about her, or like using that as justification to go act out, like, oh, I'm just protecting you, but then because you're sad and you're upset, I have to go do this, because it doesn't even cross their brain that it's not an option to do it, because it's just been habituated into them. They don't even believe that they can stop at that point. They're like, oh, it's just naturally something I'm going to have to do eventually. It's like, no. We got to back all the way up and actually have you realize that you don't have to actually act out those ways. But in their brain, they don't even see it yet sometimes.
Mm.
Yeah. That whole justification and denial of, I don't want to tell my partner because it might hurt them. It's like, okay, let's avoid the initial pain, and at the cost of damage on a structural level to the relationship. On like massive damage to the relationship, I'm gonna choose that one instead of the initial pain. And Jaime, I hate to say this to you, but if what you're saying and what he said is true, and I don't know the moment or the context in which he was saying it, but in a way, what he was saying to you is, I plan to continue to lie to you.
I see that.
Like, that's kind of what he's saying. Like, I will probably continue to lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And it goes a step further than that, because I can't handle your feelings. So I'm going to make it about me, tell you it's about you because I'm protecting you. But he's got to actually go and develop the strength inside to say, in his own masculinity, you can have your feelings and I can be here for you. And I'm going to be, I love what you said, Brannon, that idea of like there's a crack in the foundation of our relationship, and I'm going to paint over it.
Yeah.
It's like, no. We got to go and actually address the crack in the foundation. No amount of paint is actually going to address this issue.
Yeah. What's going on inside of you, Jaime, as we're talking? I can see things churning.
Just a lot of sadness, and I keep going back to the question of, I'm obviously drawing this issue into my life. It's, been an issue over and over again. So more of what do I need to change in me that I don't draw this kind of relationship again?
I love that question.
That's actually a really empowering question.
Yeah. You can choose. There's a pattern here, Jaime.
Yeah.
And you can choose to face that and look at that and learn and grow, or you can choose to keep creating this again and again. Right. So I would really like to kind of shift our discussion in that direction, because that's where you have power. That's where you have an ability to find some hope in moving forward. And will your marriage survive? Who knows? Let's put that to the side for now.
Yeah.
But turning to him to say, like, am I going to be okay? Are things going to be okay? and checking his phones and making sure he does therapy and all of those things, like it's not going to really, it's not going to yield the results that you really need here. Because the results that you need here is for you to find some peace.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wonder, the question that you asked yourself, what do you think?
You know, I think there's definitely some, and more so when I met him, but insecurity as far as my worth. You know, just from my past and with my last marriage, you know, I see, you know, definitely some self-worth problems. And, you know, I've been trying to, you know, heal those things to increase my self-worth, to, I don't know. And that's where I see it stems from.
I also think, Jaime, like just with the few things you said at the beginning of our call, your original question is like, where do we start? I just want to maybe just acknowledge that you're stepping into this call with Brannon and I having already started in a lot of senses. So maybe I just want to touch on a few of the things that you're already doing that would be part of the answer to your original question. So there's a few basics that I typically start with someone in your situation. And I would say this probably applies to both parties on a certain level, even though they might be weighted a little bit differently. I think when this stuff starts to kind of like come to fruition, there's a few things right off the bat. Every listener here is already doing this. You start to educate yourself. That education gives you power, even though it can be painful. And then there's a few basic things that I would call like the triage work before the actual real work starts. It's like, I've got to get myself seeing up and down again and being planted on firm feet again. So I need to develop some coping skills just to manage my emotions and my trauma and to get grounded. I need to actually learn how to get myself breathing. I need to learn how to be in the present here and now instead of getting my brain sucked all those other sorts of places. I need a little bit of emotional coping just to get myself stable again. I need self-care. I need to start looking at the cycle that my trauma is trying to send me in and just doing some things to break it, like not chasing down the phone all the time or not doing this or not doing that, because that's going to drive me crazy and use my energy. Then I need a team. I need some people who can help me with the education that I'm getting and the support and structure that I need, because I'm still feeling I need support. So, and you've been doing that, it sounds like, with whatever you've been doing, whether that's in therapy or in group or in, you know, volunteer type 12-step groups, whatever that is. And then I need to start working on mindfulness. And that's what your question was based in, is, oh, what can I do with my life now as I'm now seeing these patterns unfold? So I think you've already done all those steps right up to this question you just asked. Did I read that right, Jaime?
Yeah.
Okay, so those things are all really good things to have in your back pocket. We call them, Brannon and I call them the pack list, where if you have those kind of pillars going for you, it's going to make the rest of the work then move forward, where you're going to have some resources to do the work that's going to be really difficult. So is that okay, Brannon? Did you add anything?
No, that's good.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so now that you've got those kind of forces in place, you're going to use those over and over again, your self-care, your emotional management tools, your team, and then you're going to start building into this mindfulness and saying, okay, I do have some past trauma here. What do I need to do to acknowledge that trauma, to access some self-compassion and understanding of that trauma, to become aware of how that affected the way that I see myself, my life, my relationships, the world? And then what do I need to do to actually start to make peace with that inside myself and reclaim or uncover the truth of who I actually am again? Because in some ways, that's that trauma has sort of taken me away from those things.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I would
basically what Tyler's saying earlier is like, you like get all these assets around you so that you can dive deep into the real work. And as you dive deep into that real work, it could really cause a crisis in many ways in your life. And we almost want a crisis because we want everything to change about how you view yourself. But in order for that to happen, it's really good to have those assets around you first. So it feels backwards, like, hey, let's dive to the deep end and deal with the shame and the trauma first. No, let's back up a little bit, make sure that you're fortified so that you can dive into that deep end, right? So that Tyler's kind of walking you through the process of how to start to dive into that deep end. And what I feel from you, Jaime, is that you want to be wanted, you want to be chosen, you want to be seen. That's what I feel from you. And somehow, some way, you're finding men who aren't choosing you. So your faulty core belief is self-perpetuating and creating in your life. You're not feeling like you're chosen or wanted, and you're creating that in your life, right? So can you see what needs to be kind of dug deep into? Can you see that? What are you thinking?
I just I mean, I agree 100%. It's those are definitely the things that I need. And I mean, my dad left when I was 4 and never looked back. So it started with him, and I just don't know. I've been trying. I just don't know how to go about. And I feel like I've made progress, definitely, in the last few years. But I'm not sure where to go from here, especially with this new, disclosure. So, I mean, what you're saying is 100% correct.
Jaime, can I ask you before we go to those next steps? When Brannon was saying those things, our listeners don't get a chance to see your body language, but I want to know the emotions that you were experiencing as he was saying those things. What's going through you?
Just a lot of sadness. Kind of grieving. When I really sit and think about it, those are the things that, just being desired, just being wanted, being chosen. Those are exactly the things that go through my mind.
Yeah.
And
it's almost like I could see that in you. Like he's never talked to you before in his life, and he could feel that from you and he could speak it. And it's almost like what's cool about what's happening right now is that I could see in your body almost like the validation of like, I'm being seen right now. Like, whoa, somebody actually just attuned to what my needs are. And that, even though it caused all this sadness, it's bringing up all these old memories of not being chosen, which, by the way, is a gift to you, because that's where some of your trauma work's going to be. At the same moment, you were having a total stranger go, you know what, Jaime, I see you. Like, I see you right now. And you're almost getting 2 parts of the treatment at once, where someone is seeing you as you are at the same time that you're now having your own brain and body go, oh, I remember this with my dad. I remember this. I remember this. Oh, okay. It's so funny how the body takes us to the place where the body and the brain takes us to the place where those things were in deficit. And you're already lining out and identifying some of the future targets you might be looking at in your trauma work as you move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. That was a part of it. I did fail seeing. And that it's definitely what brought out those feelings of sadness of never being seen.
It's almost like it was safe enough to let the sadness come out because you were seen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, can you feel it even right now in our meeting, just the three of us? Can you feel that there's, even from two total strangers, some support coming your way, some genuine care?
Yeah, I do. I do feel it.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to have a team in place, because that opens the door to give you permission to then have, oh man, I got to take a look at Dad leaving me. It's safe enough to actually see that and go there now. It's what's happening right here is actually, I think, a beautiful thing, Jaime.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And I just want to ask, I'm going to ask a hard question that I actually want your head to answer, because I think your heart and soul might feel something different. But dad leaving when you're 4, husband cheating on you, and now your current husband behaving the way that he is. Does that mean that you're not wanted or desired or chosen?
My mind and logically
Yeah.
says no. That doesn't mean that. But my heart definitely says something else.
Yeah. You have a lot of proof, Jaime, especially from the masculine, from men, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of proof that they're going to abandon you, they're going to reject you, and you're not good enough, right? You have a lot of proof, and that sucks. Why have you been given so much opportunity here to learn and grow in this area in your life? I don't know, you know. But that proof is proving something that's actually not true. And I can't talk your heart and your soul out of it. You got to feel something different. But it's proving that faulty core belief is true. That belief's not true. But now you got to look at it with your own work and say, okay, then what do I need to do in order to actually experience something different? And I hate to tell you, but the healing comes through the wounds. And so if you still keep acting as if that's true and trying to prove that wrong, what's going to happen?
It's going to keep happening. I'm going to keep bringing it in.
Right. So it's just like a dog that's chasing you and you're running from it. And the more you run, the more it bites your ankles. And if you turn around and you look it in the eye and you say, I see you. I understand who you are. I understand what you're trying to do. And I see you. And as you look in the dog's eyes there, maybe you'll actually see some value there in that dog that's been chasing you. Okay. Yeah. You've taught me something. Thank you. I'm going to take a step toward you. And as you take a step toward it, guess what that dog does? Starts to retreat. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because the fear is no longer going to control me and who I am. I'm not afraid that I'm not chosen. I'm not afraid that I'll get abandoned. I realize that those things have happened. I recognize it. I see it. And I'm going to step toward not living that way anymore. Right? Am I making sense?
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
You know,
Brannon,
go ahead, Tyler.
I just want to make sure I'm just going to re-speak a piece of what you just said in a really simple way, which is what I think I hear you saying, and I want you to clarify it, Brannon, is part of the path forward for someone like Jaime is to recognize the patterns that she's been in, and then to place herself in situations where she can have an emotional experience that would challenge the belief that's been driving all of these perpetual things.
Yep.
Kind of like what she's having on the show right now with two men telling her that she's seen.
Yeah.
But there's other things that she could be engaging in that would be acting against those beliefs and placing her in the arena where she might have an emotionally corrective experience that would say, hey, I am seen. I am chosen. I am lovable. Like all of those things.
You know what I think about, Tyler, and Jamie, I want to ask you this. Has God abandoned you?
No, I don't feel that way. I feel like my relationship with God and my Savior is much stronger over the last few years than it has been.
Wow.
I see the world a lot different than I used to. And so I feel like a lot of my beliefs or views around our Father and His Son have changed tremendously, but no, I don't feel like He's abandoned me.
So even if I were to say, like, all the things that you've been through, every, like, time after time, you don't hold that against God, like God's, this man, or God's more than a man, but this masculine figure that's just not showing up for you in your life?
No, I don't feel that way, because I can look back and see His hand in how things have turned out, even though I'm in a rough place right now. I can see how He is making it all for my good.
That's pretty remarkable, considering your trauma, right? Because I do believe God's fighting like crazy for you and loving you like crazy. Like, we can't even describe how much God loves you and sees you and knows you. And all this stuff you're going through, there is a reason for it. And God knows that reason, right?
Yeah.
And there's one area right there, Jamie, where you can turn the tide on those feelings that you have around your Father, right? God fathers you and loves you way different than He did, right?
Yeah, and I think even just, you don't even realize this, but you used an actual intervention or strategy just in how you answered Brannon's question, where you chose to look at it with a set of eyes of, this is for my good. And just by doing that, you're already starting to fracture the old belief system, which is like, why me? Like, oh my gosh. You're actually helping yourself to free yourself simply by just choosing that way of being right now. We don't even know the answers to that, like with God yet. You don't know the answers to that yet, Jamie, but the attitude of that you're taking there will decrease your suffering in the long run than a different attitude. It'll open you to the possibility that instead of just repeating history like we always do, our brains pick up on repeating history, especially when we've had emotional learning with it. And that's all we see. It's like, I drive an F-150, truck. It's like, all I ever see is F-150s on the road.
Yeah.
Until I go and start looking at buying another car. And I'm like, oh, there's lots of other cars on the road. Like, okay, like, you're opening yourself up to the possibility that there have maybe been men, not just God. Maybe there's been men in your life who have actually showed up and given a little bit of that godly fathering. And if I had eyes to see it, I could probably go formulate a whole nother story if I wanted to. The question is, what story is going to be the most effective for me towards, and this is the work with God, towards the life God intended me to live. Right? Now I get to go strengthen those beliefs by finding that evidence.
Yeah. So to speak to that, Tyler, in real time, if we were to kind of bring this full circle here a little bit, find the evidence that God does love me, that I am chosen, with your husband having found more information out on Saturday, feeling from him that he's wanting to possibly be compliant, to do some work, to a Jaime who knows that she's seen and that she's loved and that she's chosen. She's not going to show up desperate in that relationship, trying to force him to love you, trying to force him to choose you. That's not how she's going to show up. She's going to show up as if she's lovable, as if it's awesome for him to be able to be in a relationship with you. And I'm not talking about in an arrogant way, but I'm talking about in a confident way, knowing how loved and seen you are. And he gets to choose you or not, but you're not going to go do his work for him to make sure that he does choose you. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's where you start with yourself, is you, in a lot of ways. And you know this, Jaime, I'm going to say it, but out of his recovery and just watch to see if he's going to fight for you and fight for his self. Like, just watch, like either you're going to do it or you're not, but I'm not doing it for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you start, because he's lucky to have a woman like you, and he'll lose something really, really good if he chooses to just to bail on you. Right. And you're going to be okay if he chooses to do that. Right.
Yeah, I will.
So
it's coming to those conclusions that's difficult sometimes, that I will be okay and that I know who I am. But you're right, Brannon, that's exactly right. Once that inner strength has been tapped into, however that comes about, then it's a game changer in the trajectory of recovery.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jaime.
I was just going to say, I do feel that, that is what I need to do, is just step back and is it okay to give him a deadline, like, in 6 weeks, if you haven't started something or shown some action? I mean, is that okay, or is that still me trying to control?
I would be careful with that, because I would just trust your gut to say, like you could give that deadline within yourself and then just kind of watch and see. You don't want to threaten, and you don't want to like hold it over his head. You just kind of want to watch and see. Your boundary is I need a man who has a desire to work a recovery. I need a man. So you don't have to be perfect. But I need a man who has a desire to actually work your recovery on your own. And that's it. Like, I'm going to step out of this and I'm going to see whether you're that man or not. Right. So that's my opinion. Tyler, did you have?
Yeah, no, I just say it depends on the reason why you set the deadline. If you're holding it over, like, I'm going to leave you if you don't get going, that's no. But if you're like, you know what, I want to give this thing a chance. I know who I am. I'm not going to put up with this forever, because I deserve to be in a relationship where I am seen and chosen and cherished. And if you're not going to take some of those steps towards becoming that, then I'm going to need to move on. Like, that's different than, oh man, like, you countdown's on, check it off again.
Yeah, because that just gives him more compliance.
It's like, yeah, like that's more. No, but it's okay for you to go to him and say, hey, I don't know how long I'm gonna stay here. I'm hoping that you decide to do some things that are gonna align with the values of honesty and transparency and humility and connection. And I don't expect that to be perfect, but that's where I want us to be going. And if that's not going that way, I'm gonna have to make some hard choices, because I deserve that. I want that in my life.
Okay.
So
that does feel very different. Thank you.
I want to finish. I want to tell you a story. I think it's applicable here. So my daughter, like 2 nights ago, she can be a bit over dramatic at times. But so she comes upstairs and she's pale white and she's like in shock, and she like can't, like, she can barely talk. And I'm thinking, like, holy cow, what happened? But like I say, she can be a little over dramatic. So I'm like, Well, when she got her ear pierced, they pierced it in the wrong spot. Like they totally missed the spot. It wasn't even in the middle of her ear. And so she got her ears re-pierced in the right spot. And since then, the other hole has healed itself. Well, she was messing around with her earring, and she was trying to put it in the dark, and she put it in the old hole. And so she was in shock that she had just shoved this earring through her ear and like, oh my gosh. And so she's like thinking, this is horrible. What have I done? Well, today I wake up and she's like beaming. She's so happy because she got a second piercing and she didn't even have to ask Dad about it. And this is like amazing. Look, I got 2 piercings now. It's amazing. Right? And so I was kind of laughing and I was thinking, and I think this is how it relates. 2 nights ago, she was having a trauma response. Like it was the worst thing ever. And what had happened to her. And then today she actually was like, whoa, like this is pretty freaking awesome. Like I'm kind of getting what I want out of it. It's not awesome that your husband is breaking trust with you, Jaime. It's not awesome that you're being betrayed and that hurts. But in a way, it can be. And I can tell you have that growth mindset, resiliency inside of you to say, you know what? Like, I'm going to take this and I'm going to use it as an opportunity to strengthen myself, to grow, and to just know that I'm loved. And I hope that my marriage thrives because of that. But I'm grateful for the experience going forward from here because I'm going to get what I need from this because God is fighting for me. I guess my daughter needed a second piercing, I guess.
Maybe so.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Jaime. Really appreciate your vulnerability and willingness to share about the struggles that you've been going through.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Any last thoughts today, Jaime?
No, I'm just grateful. I have some clarity now, and it's funny how things work. You know, when I signed up for this, it was a month out, and it all ended up perfect in timing. So
God's fighting for you. There you go.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaime. Thank you for coming on and sharing what you did. I would just add one last thing, that the logistical things you're doing are probably great. The kinds of things that you will facilitate that emotional shift are going to be your own individual wrestle with God in an ongoing way. And then things like, the things you hear on the podcast all the time, IFS, ART, EMDR, and then experiential kinds of things that you either choose to put yourself into, knowing you're challenging those beliefs, or something formal like, that's what ART and EMDR do. They're an emotional shifting thing as much as a mental shifting thing. And,
right.
Other things like, retreats or stuff can be helpful too, some kind of experience. So anyway, thank you, Jaime. Thank you to our listeners who are here, also being a witness to Jaime's story. And you guys all have a great week, okay?
We'll see ya.
Thanks.